Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to today's session. Today we'll go for Chemistry 0620, Paper 6, Variant 3 for May June 2025. Let's go. Question number 1. Fermentation is a process in which yeast is used to convert aqueous glucose to ethanol and carbon dioxide. And then the fermentation takes place at temperature between 25 and 35. The equation is as this. A student used the apparatus shown here to make carbon dioxide by fermentation. First, they ask you to name the apparatus. So we know A is conical flask, B is gas string. Part B suggests why a water bath is used is always to keep warm. Part C, the student measured the volume of gas that is collected every 10 minutes for 90 minutes. The results are shown here. Describe how the results shows the fermentation is not completed after time is 90 minutes because the volume of gas is still increasing. If it's already completed, then the volume of gas will become constant, means no more gas release. D, the student repeat the experiment using the apparatus shown. State what happened to the apparatus of lime water during fermentation. So what happened when we do this? CO2 will release, CO2 will make lime water milky or cloudy. State one observation that student would make that shows the fermentation is completed. Since CO2 is released, means no more bubble will form. E, state the method the student should use to obtain ethanol from the fermentation mixture. We just do fractional distillation because the boiling point of alcohol is different. Question 2 is a data type question. The student investigate how the rate of reaction between dilute hydrochloric acid and sodium thiosulfate change as the concentration of aqueous sodium thiosulfate decrease. So we are changing the concentration of sodium thiosulfate. During the reaction, the solution slowly becomes cloudy. As the solution becomes cloudy, it's more difficult to see through the solution. So we produce 5 experiments. We use measuring cylinder to get the sodium thiosulfate and then pour in HCl. And then we use stopwatch, stir the content, and then stand the beaker on a printed sheet and look down from above the beaker as shown here. When the text on the printed sheet is not visible, we stop the stopwatch. So after reaction complete, we are unable to see the printed things on the paper. We stop the stopwatch, then we will know what is the time for the reaction to happen. And we record the time to the nearest whole number of seconds. Empty the content of beaker and rinse the beaker with distilled water, and then we repeat the experiment with 40 cm cube of sodium thiosulfate, 30 cm cube, 25 cm cube, 20 cm cube. And the balance of the solution we add with the distilled water, which means the concentration of sodium thiosulfate lesser and lesser. All data is given, and then we need to record accordingly. Experiment 2, 3, 4, we use 40, 30, 25, 20. So the volume of distilled water added, we need to sum them to 50. So here we use 10, 20, 25, and 30 ml of distilled water to make it more dilute. And then here is fixed. The time for the text to not be visible is here. So we just read from here, 30, 35, here is 37. Here is 50, so it's 49. Here is 60, so before it is 59. And then here is already 1 minute plus another 13 more seconds, so it's 73 seconds. Then we extract the information because later we need to sketch the graph. Part B, write a suitable scale on the y-axis and plot the results from experiment 1 to 5. So the volume of aqueous sodium thiosulfate already given. Then we need to see for the time. The time maximum is 73. So here is 2, 4, 6, 8. Just nice. 2. State in which experiment the relative rate of reaction was greatest. So we know rate of reaction is inversely proportional with time taken. So shortest time will have the greatest rate of reaction. So it's experiment 1. D. In each experiment, the total volume of aqueous sodium thiosulfate and distilled water is constant. Calculate the volume of distilled water needed when the volume of aqueous sodium thiosulfate is 37 and everything need to go back to total of 50 cm cube. Then we just add another 13 cm cube here. 2. From your graph in figure 2.2, deduce the time for the text to not be visible when the volume of aqueous sodium thiosulfate is 37. We need to use here. So you just get it from the graph and make sure you show your working as the line. Then you can confirm here is 38 and it depends on your graph. Time is 38. And then explain why the total volume of sodium thiosulfate and distilled water are kept in constant. So we can make sure that the depth here will be the same. If the depth is different, then it will affect the time for us to wash. We don't want this affect our experiment. E1, state why measuring the volume of dilute hydrochloric acid with a burette instead of measuring cylinder would be an improvement. Every time we say burette is more accurate than measuring cylinder. But to explain why it is not possible to use a volumetric pipette to measure the volume of aqueous sodium thiosulfate in each experiment, because pipette have a fixed volume and then the volume of aqueous sodium thiosulfate is not constant. Here, keep changing from 50, 40, 30, 25 to 20. That's why we have to use back burette. F. Explain why it is important not to change the size of beaker to a larger beaker during the investigation. Because if the size is different, then the depth that we're looking down is different. Depth of the solution is changed. If we change a larger beaker, so time measured is changed also. Then it's not accurate. So make sure depth of solution need to be the same size of beaker, same volume of solution. Question 3 is about salt test. They say a student tests two solids, L and M. L is hydrated aluminum chloride. Then it dissolves into the solution and divided into 4 portions. The first portion, the student add aqueous sodium hydroxide dropwise and then in excess. So what is the observation when we add dropwise and in excess? All answers in the table. Sodium hydroxide for aluminum, it's initially formed white precipitate. When it's in excess, it's soluble, so the observation is precipitate dissolve. To the second portion of L, the student add ammonia dropwise and then in excess. So the observations is here. But when it's in ammonia, it's insoluble, so it says precipitate remain. Part C. To the third portion, the student add dilute nitric acid followed by silver nitrate. So we see the test that using dilute nitric acid 1, 2, 3, 4, and then with silver nitrate is this. Here we have chloride ion. We refer back here, so it will form white precipitate. D. The fourth portion add dilute nitric acid with barium nitride. Barium nitride will only show white precipitate if it's a sulfate ion. Since we don't have sulfate, we only have chloride, so no change will be observed. Then we test for solid M. Solid M, they first do flame test. Flame test is light green colored flame, so from the table we can confirm it's barium. Test 2, dissolve the remaining into water and in 3 portions. First portion, they add NaOH, no visible change. There are too many options, so we ignore this part first. Then test 3 that says the second portion add NaOH and aluminum foil and warm the mixture and test the gas given off. Effervescence seen and then damp red litmus paper turns blue. So we can confirm this is a nitrate because when we add this and this, we warm, ammonia is produced. So we can confirm nitrate is here. The third portion add about 1 cm cube of dilute sulfuric acid and white precipitate form. Why? Because barium will react with sulfite to form barium sulfite. This is not shown in the table, but we always need to know barium sulfite is a very famous insoluble salt in our syllabus. E. Identify the gas given off in test 3. We can confirm it's ammonia. And then identify solid M. We can confirm it is barium nitrate. Because the charge for barium is 2 plus, nitrate is 1 minus. So we balance the charge. Question number 4 is planning an experiment. They say lead chloride is an insoluble salt. Solid lead chloride can be made by reacting aqueous sodium chloride and lead nitrate. So we can make this by adding these two, and this is an insoluble salt. It's very easy to make as long as we have these two solutions. We mix them, then a precipitated form, then we just filter it. We have this residue. Make sure we rinse with distilled water to remove any other soluble salts on it. Then we just dry with filter paper. Then we can get the pure dry sample of solid lead chloride. So now we just write it down. Just like this, then you can get the pure dry solid lead chloride. So that's all for today's session. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share my video. If you have any question, please feel free to comment here. See you in the next class. Bye-bye.